All right, good morning, members. I call this meeting of the Judiciary, Finance, and Civil Law Committee to order. We are holding this remote hearing pursuant to House Rule 10.01. I have been notified that a quorum is present. Anna, will you please take the roll?
Chair Becker-Finn. Representative Moeller.
Here.
Representative Scott.
Here.
Representative
Becker-Finn present.
Becker-Finn present. Representative Feist.
Present.
Representative Frazier.
Present.
Representative Grossel.
Present.
Representative Herr.
Present.
Representative Hollins.
Present.
Representative Johnson.
Present.
Representative Liebling.
Present.
Representative Long.
Present.
Representative Mortensen.
Present.
Representative Novotny.
Novotny present.
Representative Farr. Representative Robbins.
Present.
Representative Vang.
Present.
Representative Zhang.
Present.
All right, thank you. A quorum is present. Today, members, we're going to be hearing 8 bills. And before we do that, we need approval of the minutes of March 16, 2021. Representative Scott, would you move those minutes?
I'd be happy to move those minutes, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Any comments on the minutes for March 16, 2021? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 The motion prevails and the minutes for March 16th are approved. Next, members, before we get into the bills, we are going to discuss Representative Vang's bill, House File 717. We had a full bill presentation before on this. At the time, we were waiting for a fiscal note, so we had laid it over. The fiscal note has since come back with 0 cost, so we have noticed the bill for final action today. Representative Vang, would you like to move that House File 717 be recommended to be placed on the General Register?
Madam Chair, I move that House File 717 be recommended to be placed on the General Register.
Thank you, Representative Vang. So members, we now have the bill before us again, but we do have some amendments. Before we get to those, Representative Johnson, I see that your hand is up.
Well, if we have some amendments, we can take care of them first.
Okay, very well. So Representative Vang, the bill is before us again. The first amendment that we have before us is the A1 amendment, and Representative Scott, I believe that that is your amendment, and if so, would you like to move that?
Yes, Madam Chair, I would move the A1.
Okay, great. Do you want to tell us what the A1 amendment does?
Sure. What the A1 does is it just, current law says that the statute of limitations on the crime that we're looking at today is 3 years, and this would just double it to 6, which is in alignment with other areas of statute for similar offenses. And I just think to have 0 statute of limitations on crimes like this, people's memories fade, witnesses die or you can't find them. And I just think that there needs to be a date certain that gives the victims and the plaintiffs plenty of time to gather the evidence that they need, but also just doesn't extend it for the life of this offense. So that's my amendment, Madam Chair, and I'd ask for member support.
Thank you, Representative Scott. Representative Vang, would you like to comment on the amendment?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Scott, for your amendment. However, the nature of the bill is, the intent of the bill is to eliminate the statute of limitations. The testifiers have mentioned problems with the statute of limitations being too short of a time for them, mainly because, investigations can be stalled. And before any rational lawyers take up a case, they would like to look into the details. So the 6 years is too short of a time for them. So I will recommend members to vote no to this amendment.
Thank you, Representative Vang. I don't see any other hands up, but I'll just pause for a minute. Is there any further discussion on this amendment? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the A1 amendment say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay.
No.
Nay.
The amendment is not adopted. Members, the next amendment is amendment number 5, and I believe that there's also an A6. So Representative Novotny, I understand that those are your amendments. And so first, would you like to move the A5 amendment?
Madam Chair, that is up to you. I can address them at the same time or do them individually.
Let's move both amendments first. So if you would move the A5 amendment, so that's before us.
I so move.
Okay, great. And now we'll also move the A6 amendment if that's what you wish to do.
That is fine, Madam Chair. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. And it's my understanding that the A6 amendment gets the A5 in the shape that you desire. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so any discussion on the A6? Oh, Representative Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm wondering if we could roll call these amendments, please. Thank you.
Okay, Representative Scott, did you want to roll call the A6 also? It's just putting the bill in the shape the author desires.
Yeah, I mean, if you adopt the one and then on final passage of the bill as the amendment as amended, I'd like to roll call that. Thanks.
You're just so I'm clear, you're asking for, if we adopt the A6, the A5 to be roll called.
Madam Chair, I'd like both.
Yeah. Okay, very well. Okay, great. Representative Liebling, your hand is up.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I just wonder if we could have some explanation, brief, of what these things are before we vote on them.
Okay, sure. Okay, sure. So we were just going to go to the A6 first, which puts the A5 in the shape the author desires. So Representative Novotny, do you want to just briefly, I guess, go ahead and explain the A5 and then what the A6 does?
DA5 expands the categories of persons that would be affected by this reduction or the elimination of the statutes of limitations. As I found out in testimony from a person on Tuesday, all you need to do for research is do a Google search and find out, articles that are available on Google. So using that information, I did research and I found out that persons in positions of authority have used their positions to hide investigations and keep witnesses from coming forward. If we look at the United States gymnastics scandal involving a doctor, if we look at multiple cases of college coaches using their influence to manipulate people into sexual situations where they are using their coercion to use that as a way of getting what they want. Any person if you have kids and they're in club sports, even when those kids get older, you understand how much manipulation or influence a coach or someone from the from the organization, as we've had in previous testimony here on different bills, has over a person, including the parents, that could be manipulated to get favored position or college positions for their children. So I think any person in a position of authority should be included in this, and I think it's a good move for everyone to have this in mind.
Okay, thank you. And can you just tell us what the A6 amendment does?
The A6 amendment brings in also legislators. It wasn't included, and once I started realizing, once again with the Google search on how many times legislators have used their influence, let's face it, members of this committee last year passed a almost $2 billion bonding bill. Our total budget is in the $55 to $56 billion range. We make decisions and we pass laws that affect everyone's life. I look at a current bill that several of the members of this sitting committee right now that have signed on to 259, which would make people less than. So if we look at the other provisions, section 2 of the provisions of this bill in wrongful death, we have people that are, well, for example, in 2019, by Minnesota statutes. Our Minnesota records, 9,922 abortions were completed in the state of Minnesota, over half of which is very much out of line with the general population, were Black people, Indigenous, or persons of color.
Representative Novotny,
those are matters of wrongful death, and these are decisions that we
Representative
as legislators.
Novotny.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just asking for an explanation of the A6, which I believe that you have given us already.
Thank you.
Yep, and I'd like to move on the A6. Before we move on the A6, Representative Liebling, did you have your comment? Your hand was up.
Madam Chair, sorry, I actually hadn't intended to leave my hand up, but I would just say, given that boy, this is just a political stunt. This is really appalling. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Okay, so Representative Vang, did you want to comment on the A6? We'll have a discussion about the A5, but can you comment on the A6?
Madam Chair, since the A6 is just amending the A5 amendment, we could just, I'll reserve my comments for that when we when the A5 is amended to the shape that Representative Novotny wants.
Okay, thank you. And I see Representative Grossell, your hand is up again. Is this to the A6, Representative Grossell?
Sorry, a bit rusty. Got to get back into the swing of things. Yeah, to the A6, and it seems that if we're going to be extending the statute of limitations on one group, then you better make it a lot of them. And Representative Liebling is correct. It is appalling that a lot of these things are not being addressed. You know, we have a lot of good legislation out there. The way this one is set up, this is not one of them. But the A6 and the A5 will make it a better piece of legislation. Because if we're going to hold one group accountable, the rest of them better fall in line as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, so the A6 is before us right now, and a roll call has been requested on the A6. The clerk will take the roll.
Chair Becker-Finn. Representative Moeller.
Aye.
Representative Scott.
Aye.
Representative Feist.
Aye.
Representative Frazier.
Aye.
Representative Grossell.
Aye.
Representative Herr.
Aye.
Representative Hollins.
Aye.
Representative Johnson.
Aye.
Representative Liebling.
Aye.
Representative Long.
Aye.
Representative Mortensen.
Aye.
Representative Novotny.
Aye.
Representative Farr.
Aye.
Representative Robbins.
Aye.
Representative Vang.
Aye.
Representative Zhang.
Aye.
Chair Becker-Finn. There's 16 ayes and no nays.
All right, the A6 amendment is adopted, and now we can discuss the A5 amendment as amended. Representative Novotny has already given us an explanation of what the amendment does. Representative Vang, would you like to comment on the A5?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Novotny, for your amendment. It sounds like a good idea. However, I've taken a look at the amendment and it doesn't seem quite ready yet. I also don't feel comfortable expanding the scope of the bill when we haven't engaged with these new stakeholders and we don't have, the time for it really to expand the bill and go through the stakeholder engagement process. And so with that, I would recommend members a no vote to the A5 as amended.
Thank you, Representative Vang. Representative Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this is a question to the bill's author, Representative Vang. Speaking of stakeholders, did you reach out to the law enforcement community when you drafted this bill? Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, Representative Vang.
Madam Chair, yes, that's correct.
Okay, and Representative Scott, just a reminder, we have had a full discussion of this bill already, and we are discussing the amendment at this point. Any follow-up?
No, my only follow-up would have been, well, were they in support of this bill?
All right, let's see here. Representative Robbins.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Vang. I support this amendment because just, I think it was last week, maybe it was this week because I can't remember, but we extended the mandatory reporting to all these different groups where people are in position of authority over children, and had, you know, really compelling testimony by Xander and some other folks who had been affected by these different groups. And so I feel like this is sort of the flip side of the coin. So I urge members to support that because we have been working on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Robbins. And I guess I have a question for House research staff. Maybe Ms. Mullins can answer this. I know years ago, the legislature already expanded the statute of limitations for sexual assault crimes. So I believe that a lot of those situations that Representative Novotny covered in his amendment are already covered. And so if Ms. Mullins, if you could just briefly describe what the law currently does with respect to minors, that would be helpful.
Chair and members of the committee, the bill, the current law made it so that when a minor was going to sue somebody who had sexually assaulted them when they were under the age of 18, that they could sue at any time, except it created a limit of 6 years after they turn 18 for a very specific kind of lawsuit, which is respondent superior, or sort of a stricter liability towards schools or churches.
Thank you, Ms. Mullins. That is helpful. So just so I'm clear, the law currently already covers minors, except for that one situation where there's 6 years. There is no statute of limitations.
That's correct, Chair.
Thank you. Representative Grossell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just going to follow up with Representative Scott's question that she asked about the law enforcement community. Have they been addressed? Have they been consulted in this, and what is their support for it?
Representative Grossell, again, we are discussing the amendment. I will let Representative Vang answer this question, but then we are going to keep on discussing the amendment. Representative Vang.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'll just remind members that this bill has been discussed with relevant stakeholders. The earlier version had concerns from law enforcement because it was too open-ended. And so this bill narrows that and to address some of those concerns. So it has been addressed.
That doesn't answer my question, Madam Chair. I'm sorry.
Representative Robbins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. After Ms. Mullins' reply, I just had a quick follow-up, if you'll allow that.
Go ahead, Representative Robbins.
Thank you. So Ms. Mullins, if you could just clarify for me, the 6-year limitation applies to people in authority who are from schools, and what was the other institution?
Ms. Mullins.
Chair and members, the other institution I mentioned is churches. There were a lot of cases after the law was passed related to churches.
Representative Robbins.
Thank you. I appreciate that clarification. So currently there is a 6-year statute of limitation on school authorities and church authorities, and this amendment would make it unlimited. Am I understanding that correctly?
Chair and members, no, that's not correct. Sorry, this is a very specific type of case. You can sue an individual who harmed you. There is no statute of limitations on that to the individual person.
Representative Robbins.
For a minor. Does that make sense?
Representative Robbins.
I'm not sure, but I guess I'm wondering, so once the minor who has no statute of limitations becomes 18, then the statute of limitations kicks in?
Ms. Mullins.
Chair and members, sorry. The nature of the case when the lawsuit is filed against an individual is different when the lawsuit is filed against an organization based on vicarious liability. So it's two different types of lawsuit.
Yes.
And the statute of limitations is different for each.
Okay, very helpful. Sorry to take up your time. Thank you.
Okay, I agree. That was really helpful information. Thank you so much, Ms. Mullins. A roll call has been requested on the A5 amendment as amended. The clerk will take the roll.
Chair Muller, could I just comment, please?
Yep, go ahead, Representative Novotny.
Thank you, Chair Muller. In response to this bill, my point of the amendments is that we make decisions that affect people's lives and can affect decisions, although not directly, but can have long-term effects by the decision that we make as legislators and in other positions that we have. I have concerns with this bill. Just the definitions are vague. Death caused by peace officer, for example. What does that mean? I did some back of the napkin.
Representative Novotny, I just want to remind you, we're talking about your amendment right now, not the bill. So if you could keep your comments to the amendment, please.
I'll do my best, ma'am, or Madam Chair. No, I'll save them for the floor decision. I feel that make rules that you're willing to live by yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Novotny. The clerk will take the roll on the A5 amendment as amended.
Chair Becker-Finn. Representative Moeller.
No.
Representative Scott.
Aye.
Representative Feist.
No.
Representative Frazier.
No.
Representative Grossel.
Aye.
Representative Hurd.
No.
Representative Hollins.
No.
Representative Johnson.
Aye.
Representative Liebling.
No.
Representative Long.
No.
Representative Mortensen.
Aye.
Representative Novotny.
Aye.
Representative Farr.
Aye.
Representative Robbins.
Aye.
Representative Vang.
No.
Representative Zhang.
No.
Chair Becker-Finn. Okay. There are 7 ayes and 9 nays.
There being 7 ayes and 9 nays, the amendment is not adopted. And now we are back to the bill. Representative Vang has her bill before us again. Remember that we've already had a full discussion of this. We've even had some discussion right now about the bill talking about the amendment. Representative Johnson.
Chair, members, I'm going to speak against this bill. If the amendment would have gone on, it would have been better. As legislatures, we should not force anybody to do anything we would not. Now, law enforcement, they do their best to weed out the bad players. They do everything they can if there is a bad officer to get them off the streets and hold them accountable. I know a number of officers that have been charged with these situations and they have lost their jobs and they have gone to prison. Now, we tried to add legislators, and I wish I would have even gone farther. We have a situation right now in New York. The governor of New York is being, and the way it looks like, we only see one side of the story, just like the situation here in Minnesota. Looks like he's guilty, and not just of sexual harassment, actual sexual abuse. And seeing the time limits on that, if they were in Minnesota, the victims would have no recourse. And this is the governor.
Representative Representative Johnson, please keep your comments to the bill in front of us. Again, it's a reminder that we've already had a full discussion of this bill. We have a number of bills before us today. Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I had my hand up during this bill. I was not given an opportunity to speak when we had it last time. This is a serious issue. Now, we have a situation where we wanted to extend it to 6 years, which would have been plenty of time. Right now, we're seeing what happens when these settlements are done too early. We're looking at a change of venue we will have an announcement tomorrow on a change of venue in a trial that's happening in Minnesota right now in Minneapolis, because a settlement was announced when the trial was starting.
Again, Representative Johnson, this is one last chance here. Otherwise, we're going to move on to other members. We are talking about the bill in front of us, which we've already had an opportunity to discuss. Go ahead.
This is important. I have a right to speak what I need to speak about on this bill. This deals with this bill and how improper this bill is. It's targeting law enforcement officers when we have members of legislators across the state or across the country that's doing these things. We have governors that are doing these things, and we're not talking about them. We had an opportunity to fix that, and this committee said no. We have an issue where unlimited time period, when people die, witnesses die, that people can no longer get the witnesses to defend themselves. I think 6 years would have been plenty of time. And with that, I cannot support this bill at this time.
Okay, members, Representative Becker-Finn is back with us, so I'm turning the gavel back over to her.
Thank you, Vice Chair Moeller. And we will get to Representative Grossel, but I will note, even just since I joined the room, I just remind members that we're speaking briefly to the underlying bill. We've already had committee discussion and testimony on this bill, so please try to stay focused. Thank you. Representative Grossel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And again, I'll go back to the bill. I'll go back to my question that was not satisfied. With the answer, because from what I'm understanding is that you do not have Representative Vang. You do not have law enforcement support on this. You said you tried to address some of the issues, but you do not have law enforcement support on this bill, and I can see why. I mean, how far this bill says it's retroactive? How far back does that reach? How far back does that reach, Representative? Sorry.
Representative Vang.
Madam Chair, Representative Grossel, there's a 5-year look-back window.
5-year look-back window. Okay.
Representative Grossel.
And thank you, Madam Chair. And looking at this as well, you know, Madam Chair and committee, I'm seeing a lot of legislation coming forward that specifically targeting our law enforcement officers. And, you know, I just look at what has gone on in the past year as far as the community screaming for help, needing help. But this type of legislation does nothing but hamstring an officer's ability to be able to do their job and perform it safely, professionally, and make sure that our citizens are protected. You know, I have to go back to, I was involved in an officer-involved shooting. I was shot in the line of duty. Drug dealer decided he wanted to kill me one morning. And fortunately, my partner and I were able to survive that. Unfortunately, the drug dealer did not. So decisions have to be made in a split second. When you have a .38 revolver 2 inches from the bridge of your nose, bad things come after that. And that was that stemmed from a disgruntled customer in a hotel lobby. This person was setting that up. So to leave a door that wide open for decisions that have to be made in a split second. And I guess, you know, I'm looking at some of the stuff where it says you got one of the concerns was that these cases are being strung out. I don't know of any of these cases or any attorneys or any representation whatsoever who has strung something out past the statute of limitations in these types of cases. In these types of cases,
I will note, Representative because we already took testimony. You know, we don't have additional testimony today, so we're going to move on to Representative
Madam Chair, this is hanging our law enforcement officers out in the dang wind.
And you're entitled to your opinion, Representative Grossell, and nobody's making you vote for it. But we've fully discussed and had testimony on this bill, and we're going to move forward. Representative Frazier, real quick, and then closing words from Representative Novotny.
I'll try to go as quick as I can. I'm hearing this conversation, and I'm just thinking about the moment that this state is in right now. The world is watching, and we are trying to take steps to fix some things that are very broken, that are harming communities in a disproportionate manner, and they have been harming communities in a disproportionate manner for years, decades. The laws that we have on the book now, I'm hearing this both sides of the argument piece, and everybody's got to be held accountable. Right now, murder and manslaughter, there is no statute of limitations. So if someone does that in the community, they will be held accountable, but there will be due process. This bill does not take away due process. It allows for an opportunity to fix some things that are very broken, that are very harmful. We need to keep that in mind. The world is watching. But oftentimes in these conversations, it sounds like the world is not watching, and we're okay with maintaining the status quo and not fixing these things. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Frazier. Real quick, Representative Novotny, and then Representative Vang.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, and Representative Frazier kind of changed my change of thought on that. And Representative Frazier, I feel you're making the point of our point. The world is watching because the trial is taking place as we speak within a year of the incident. The civil part is already settled, and they are watching. So what are we attempting to fix?
I'll just remind you that this bill is not a George Floyd bill. This has to do, if you remember, and this is part of why we weren't going to get into full committee discussion, because if folks remember, we had very moving testimony from the family members of folks who have not been able to have their day in court and have not had access to those the evidence in their cases. So real quick, Representative Novotny.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's hard to, yeah, it's a, yeah, I'll save it for the floor. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Representative Novotny, Representative Vang, and then we'll move to the vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I won't take any more time. This is a good bill, and for members who feel they can't support this bill, I'm happy to continue the talks. Thank you.
All right, the clerk will, you'll have to remind me whose motion it was. Representative Vang renews her motion to move this bill to the general register. The clerk will take the roll.
Chair Becker-Finn.
Aye.
Representative Moeller.
Aye.
Representative Scott.
No.
Representative Feist.
Aye.
Representative Frazier.
Aye.
Representative Grossell.
No.
Representative Hurt.
Aye.
Representative Hollins.
Aye.
Representative Johnson.
No.
Representative Liebling.
Yes.
Representative Long.
Aye.
Representative Mortensen.
No.
Representative Novotny.
No.
Representative Farr.
No.
Representative Robbins.
No.
Representative Vang,
Aye.
Representative Zhang.
Aye.
There are 10 ayes and 7 nays.
With that, the motion prevails and House File 717 is recommended to be placed on the general register. With that, members, we'll move on to the next bill. It's a Representative Lislegard bill, House File 984. Representative Lislegard, welcome to our committee. I will remind folks that we are limiting the discussion to the provisions within our jurisdiction, which would be Section 2, Subdivisions 3 and 4. I will move that House File 984 be recommended to be placed on the general register. Representative Lislegard, your bill is now before us. Please tell us about your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. We're in front of you today to discuss portions of House File 984 related to this committee's jurisdiction. As such, I plan to keep my comments limited due to the respect of your time. House File 984 is a bill intended to protect the safety of workers in hazardous facilities, specifically oil refineries, and also to protect the surrounding communities. This bill requires that at least 85% of the employees of any contractor working at an oil refinery have the experience with registered apprenticeship program in the appropriate trade. The bill also lays out fines for violation of this and allows contractors to be held accountable to this standard. The previous hearings we've had explored the policy implications of this bill, and I won't rehash those conversations. I will say, however, that this bill is not intended to be union versus non-union. This bill is not about interfering with the private sector of business. What this bill is about doing the right thing and ensuring that contractors are providing the training and oversight that is critical to ensuring the safety of these facilities, workers, and the surrounding communities. This isn't a new concept. As the state, we have repeatedly said that having training and oversight is important. It is critical industries like those in my district and major construction projects like the biking stadium that required this. I just want to share that the background of this bill, I thank the committee for dedicating time to consider this. And with that, I will turn it over to Brandon Cummins, who will walk through the portions of the bill that directly relate to this committee. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Lislegard. Mr. Cummins, if you could introduce yourself for the record and then go ahead with your testimony.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm Brendan Cummins, attorney for the Minnesota Pipe Trades Association. Each of the provisions we're talking about today contains a customary method of enforcing Minnesota workplace laws. It's common for enforcement to involve a combination of agency action and private lawsuits. Subdivision 3 provides for civil penalties to be imposed by the Commissioner of Labor and Industry. This is similar to other civil penalties that may be imposed by the Commissioner for violations of workplace laws. One similar example is for record-keeping violations under Minnesota statutes, section 177.30. The amount of the penalty ranges between $5,000 and $10,000. The Commissioner would have discretion to decide the appropriate amount based on the size of the violator's business and the seriousness of the violation. Each shift on which a violation would occur would be considered a separate violation. And this is consistent with how Minnesota courts have interpreted other civil penalty provisions. Subdivision 4 provides for private lawsuits for damages to enforce the act. The language is similar to the private lawsuit provision in Minnesota statute section 181.721, which allows bidders to sue when they lose work to a contractor that violates workers' compensation and unemployment laws. Workplace laws commonly provide for enforcement by private lawsuits. House research staff has made some helpful technical suggestions to clarify this language, but my understanding is these changes would not alter the intent. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your testimony. We'll move to member discussion. Representative Grossell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I guess this would be a question for either the bill author or the gentleman that just spoke. These violations, if somebody doesn't get a contract, can they sue the the refinery just because they didn't get the contract, so they're going to sue for the money that they could have made? Am I understanding that correctly?
Representative Grossel, I'll remind you, I think he was using that as a similar to type of provision, but this bill does not have those provisions in it. Mr. Cummins.
That was a question for them, Madam Chair. I'm sorry.
Yes, so that could be a scenario that would result in a lawsuit if an oil refinery hired a contractor without requiring compliance with this provision. A disappointed bidder who in fact submitted a compliant bid could sue for lost profits. And that is a standard measure of damages in these types of scenarios.
Representative Grossel, remembering that the bill in front of us is regarding outside contractors and having the correct amount of training.
Yes, Madam Chair. I'm looking at that and knowing where my colleague is from. Are any of these is there any kind of legislation like this or been presented as far as the mining industry? Representative Lislegard.
Representative Lislegard.
Madam Chair and Representative Grossel, I can't speak to specifically. I do know that union contractors that have the apprenticeship programs and then full journeymen work in the mines. So you do not go and run a crane if you do not have, you're not a certified crane operator. If you do not meet that threshold, you do not work at these facilities.
And I think, Madam Chair.
Follow up, Representative Grossel.
And from what I've learned about the oil industry, Representative Lislegard, is that they have pretty stringent rules on who does what where as well, especially in Minnesota. So I look at this and I'm thinking, man, I'd like to support you, but it's if you're not going to look in your own backyard for things, then you shouldn't be going after other people's livelihoods.
Representative Johnson.
Chair Becker-Finn, Representative Lislegard. On this bill dealing with the lawsuits and stuff like that, does this involve all the trades and any work being done within the facility?
Representative Lislegard.
Madam Chair and Representative Johnson, I do believe so. Only outside contractors. It does not affect the workers inside the facility.
Representative Johnson.
Chair Becker-Finn, Representative Lislegard. I understand why you're doing it for those working on the pipes and high sensitive areas, but the way the bill is written, it would affect somebody coming in to paint an office. It affects somebody coming in to install phones, radio equipment, even some safety devices, the smoke detectors and stuff like that. I think this bill needs to go back and be reworked, get set up properly. So I have concerns about this because, and also even with the apprentice programs that are there for these trades, I've talked to some of the construction trades trainers. They're in dire need right now. We pretty much don't have the people to do the work. 8 years ago, they were begging people that were retired to come back to work to fulfill the jobs they have. We've had such a push to put people through college that we don't have people going into construction trades anymore. I think we need to look at, and I want people to have these jobs. I want them well trained, and the apprentice program is a good one. But right now, the apprentice program and the construction trades are in dire straits with the number of employees they have. Do we want highly trained personnel in there? Absolutely. But you can have highly trained without going through an apprentice program through some of the technical colleges that we have as well. And I think this could actually limit who could actually do the work. And
Representative Johnson, I'll just remind you
problem.
that the question before us is whether there should be a civil action and what those penalties should be.
I understand that, Chair Beckerfin. But if we don't have the employees, it's going to start limiting who can actually do the work there. And I think that's even worse because competition helps keep the costs down. We've seen in the last, 2.5 months, and we've seen, or 3 months, and we've seen gas prices go up almost 40%. So with that alone, I'd love to support this bill, but the current way it's written, I cannot support it.
All right, Representative Robbins, and then we'll go to the vote. And Representative Robbins, you're usually pretty good at this, but I'll just remind you that the question before us is regarding subdivision 3 and 4. Representative Robbins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And yes, my question is about this section. My understanding is in lines 3.11 through 3.18, this section does have this rebuttable presumption. So to Representative Grossel's question, it appears that if there's a violation, anyone who lost the bid, regardless of the reason, can sue for damages of what they would have received had they won the award. Could someone say if my understanding there is correct?
Mr. Cummins?
Yes, your understanding is correct that a disappointed bidder could sue, but they would have had to submit a compliant bid using contractors that meet the safe and skilled workforce requirement and have lost the work to a contractor that does not meet the requirement. And that's a very common type of lawsuit that you see, and it is actually provided for in Minnesota statutes 181.721 construction bid equity, where there's a contractor that doesn't comply with the workers' compensation and unemployment laws. A disappointed bidder can sue. I'm not aware of any lawsuits that have actually been filed. I did a Westlaw search and didn't see any, but it is designed to be a deterrent, as other private right of action languages and other statutes, a deterrent to violators.
Representative Robbins.
Thank you. And that other section of statute that you cite, does that also contain this rebuttable presumption?
Yes, in fact, I copied and pasted the language. Oh. Madam Chair, members of the committee, sorry. The language in my understanding is copied and pasted from that other provision. I will say, too, though, to note, House Research had some technical comments about this provision, and that particular clause, the rebuttable presumption, was one of the concerns they raised. And although it is already, that very sentence is already in another provision of Minnesota statute, they expressed concerns about its clarity. And my sense is it makes sense to take that sentence out. It really isn't essential to the provision. The basic intent of the provision is to provide for a private right of action to enforce this provision. And the courts can decide, if someone has standing or not, if someone has, in fact, experienced damages from a violation. So, at the recommendation of House Research, that provision may not be, survive in the bill, as a technical recommendation.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I'm actually going to let Representative Lislegard respond to that comment about that particular sentence in the bill.
Excuse me?
Wondering, Representative Lislegard, the testifier was speaking to a sentence in the bill on line 3.13, maybe not being necessary, and I'm wondering what your response is to that.
Can you please, I do not have the bill sitting right in front of me, Madam Chair. What is the sentence that you'd like me to reply?
Yep. So Mr. Cummins had spoken to there is a rebuttable presumption that a losing bidder for work for which the violation of the section has occurred has suffered damages. And Mr. Cummins, interrupt me if I'm incorrect, but he is suggesting that that may not be necessary. Is someone from House Research able to weigh in?
Chair and members of the committee, this is Mary Mullen. I had talked.
Go ahead, Ms. Mullen.
Thanks. I had talked to Representative Lislegard and the advocates for the bill to discuss cleaning up some of the language because it was a little bit unorthodox for the way we normally talk about civil liability and civil actions. I did not remove anything, but they did send me back some language that made changes that sort of made it more consistent with how we normally draft those sections.
Madam Chair, I will, taking that into consideration, I will draft up an amendment. Whatever stop this, I believe it's going to the General Register. I will have an amendment drawn up to address this issue.
And Representative Lislegard, knowing that we're sending this to the General Register, typically if we find things in committee, sometimes it can be best to deal with that now. I'm wondering what I'm going to do. Let's see. We will, wondering if you would entertain an oral amendment to take out the sentence that House Research is recommending may not be necessary.
Madam Chair, I will do whatever we can to move this forward to protect the worker safety. So,
Ms. Mullen.
Chair and members of the committee, there isn't a sentence I'm recommending to be removed. I do think that this would be much better done with a written amendment. There are multiple clarifying suggestions throughout that section of the bill.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Mullen. Members, I am going to lay this bill over so that Representative Lislegard can have some discussions with House Research and that we can get something drafted that we can get before us. We'll come back to this as soon as we can. So Representative Lislegard, if you could get in touch with Ms. Mullen right now and work on that and make sure that we're clearing this up. I think it's important that we deal with this now and not on the House floor if we can get it cleaned up ahead of that time. So with that, Representative Lislegard, I see you nodding. So I am laying over House File 984 and we will come back to this today and hopefully that will clear up some of the questions that members had as well. So House File 984 is laid over. And we're going to move right on to the next bill. Representative Robbins, if you have questions when we come back, we will get to you. I know that I thank you for your attentiveness to the bill. And so with that, we will move on to House File 12. We do have several testifiers on this bill, and I want to make sure that we have time to get to that today, this morning. So this is a Representative Hausman bill, House File 12. I will move that House File 12 be recommended to be re-referred to Ways and Means. We have the bill before us, and I guess Representative Lislegard will have to wait a minute to call Ms. Mullen, as I believe Ms. Mullen was going to give us a quick walkthrough of House File 12.
Chair and members of the committee, I'm going to go ahead and quickly give you an overview of House File 12. This is the first engrossment after it's been amended. The first section deals with the peacetime emergency, and it prohibits evictions for residential tenants during the COVID-19 peacetime emergency, except in specific cases where there's been destruction of rental property, criminal activity, or a substantial breach of the lease. And then it prohibits the non-renewal of leases for residential tenants in similar kinds of circumstances. Section 2 deals with evictions and non-renewals at the conclusion of the peacetime emergency, and it provides for 12 months after the peacetime emergency that a landlord needs to provide a written notice, a 60-day notice before filing an eviction on a residential tenant. And that also has specific exemption situations where you don't have to do that, such as those like emergency type of situations. Section 3 requires the court to review all filings for evictions so that if the 60-day notice requirement wasn't done after the peacetime emergency, the court can reject the filing. And then for all evictions that are filed after March 23rd, 2020, when those evictions were done, they need to have been done properly. Otherwise, the court can dismiss those eviction actions and expunge the record. For Section 4, this deals with foreclosures, and it provides it during the peacetime emergency and for 60 days after the procedure that begins the foreclosure, the most common type of foreclosure in Minnesota. There's a moratorium on that action, and it also prevents the termination of a contract for deed. So if the home sale was going to be through contract for deed, it can't be canceled during the peacetime emergency or 60 days after. And that's everything.
Madam Chair.
All right. Thanks, Ms. Mullen. Representative Hausman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's the content of the bill. I'd like to say just a little bit about why we need this. We're calling this an off-ramp for the eviction moratorium. When the pandemic began, very quickly, workers in bars, restaurants, and retail lost their jobs. And that's a group, we know something about their wage levels. They're probably a group of workers who are one paycheck away from not being able to pay their bills. So the governor quickly realized we can't have more homeless people at the time of a pandemic. And so he called for this eviction moratorium. We then quickly knew we need to keep everyone whole, though, including landlords. And so there was $100 million of housing assistance that we applied to this and set up a program that would pay the rent for this group of people directly to the landlords. But now we're nearing the end, and we need a plan, an off-ramp for the eviction moratorium, because we don't want chaos at the end of that point where we again have a huge number of evictions. And so we're calling this an off-ramp for the eviction moratorium. We're still in a pandemic, and while there are signs of progress, we don't want to take action too quickly. Research shows, you might hear it from one of the testifiers, an increased spread in states that lifted their moratorium in 2020. So we have some experience with this already. The executive order has been critical to providing housing stability during the pandemic. It has had its implementation challenges and unintended consequences. This bill, for the most egregious violations of leases, allows for additional eviction filings to proceed. Once we're through the public health threat, the off-ramp should provide enough notification and timing for individuals and landlords to have access to the federal emergency rental assistance for non-payment of rent evictions. The state has $375 million in emergency rental assistance. So we have some federal money to help us through this time. There is an opportunity to work with the courts to limit the number of evictions filed and to immediately expunge filings that were filed in violation of the emergency orders. So a number of testifiers will talk more about this.
All right. Thank you, Representative Hausman. And I'm sorry that I didn't go to you first. I wanted to make sure we had Ms. Mullen's testimony on the record before we move on to the next issue she needed to attend to. The first testifier I have on the list is Ron Elwood. Mr. Elwood, if you could introduce yourself and go ahead with your testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. Ron Elwood with Legal Aid. Legal Aid would like to thank Chair Hausman and the authors of House File 12 for putting forth a proposal that announces that we need an orderly transition to a housing and eviction future as we emerge from the cloud of personal and economic disruption caused by the pandemic. This bill tackles one of the most critically important issues facing the legislature this year, or frankly in any other years. While hope has arrived on the health front, we are and will continue to be for some time in the throes of an economic fallout from the unprecedented period in our lives. The economic consequences of this pandemic have been felt by all of us, but for some of us, it has been and will continue to be far more severe. I want to amplify what Chair Hausman said regarding the context of this bill. Some statistics that are very sobering. The Center for the American Experiment points out that Minnesota has lost 230,000 jobs between January 2020 and January 2021. Deed reports that Minnesota lost 50,000 jobs in December alone. And Deed's analysis shows that unemployment has been far worse in this pandemic than in both the recessions of the early 2000s and following the foreclosure crisis. According to the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce, hospitality workers have been hit the hardest. The Chamber also points out that employees of color are experiencing disproportionate impacts from this crisis. And the Star Tribune reports that women of color in particular have faced higher percentages of layoffs than any other group during this pandemic. As Chair Hausman noted, many of these workers are renters. Many are low income and many are legal aid clients. So all this is to say that we are not out of the economic woods and that we must be mindful of renters struggling to recover jobs and hours and ensure a measured process of returning to pre-pandemic business as it relates to evictions. While there are differing opinions as to how steep the cliff will be once the moratorium ends, it is undeniable that unless there is a ramp down, there is a potential for an eviction surge. And one of the goals of House File 12 is preventing a wave of evictions that would destabilize families, landlords, and overwhelm the courts. The Census Bureau notes that for the week ending March 1st, about 117,000 Minnesotans are not caught up on rent. That's near 89,000 households have experienced a loss of income, and 82,000 renters are unemployed. If all 117,000 Minnesotans who are backed up on their rent would face eviction on day one, that would represent 17 times the number of evictions for an entire year in Minnesota. So Legal Aid appreciates the intent of House File 12, and in particular to recognize the provision of a post-moratorium pre-eviction notice period. The 60-day period contemplated in this bill lines up nicely with the time that it will likely take to apply for and administer the financial assistance coming from the federal government and possibly from state sources and get the money out the door to landlords. Legal Aid also appreciates the recognition that protection for contract for deed vendees is also necessary, and as Ms. Mullen pointed out, is contained in this bill. Legal Aid looks forward to working with all the interested stakeholders as this bill moves forward to ensure a smooth transition and hopefully make some long-term structural improvements to enable both landlords and tenants to prevent evictions and avoid eviction court. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Elwood. Next on the list, I have Larry McDonough. Mr. McDonough, if you could introduce yourself for the record and go ahead with your testimony, keeping in mind that we've got a very full schedule this morning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Larry McDonough. I'm with the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights under Law. Just want to put a few numbers up for you, and so I will share my screen, but I will keep it very brief. And this slideshow is part of your packet. As Mr. Elwood and also Representative Hausman was talking about the health effects of the executive order, essentially the issue is if you evict this household during a pandemic, they're going to coalesce with another household in a shelter, in a tent, or in another property, and that creates infections. I've been reviewing health data from around the country, and my estimate in Minnesota is that the executive order saved 2,000 lives up to January 4, and even more since then. There are about 16,000 evictions a year in Minnesota in a regular economy. And so just to give you a few numbers based on where we are in the economy right now, unemployment applications as a share of the workforce during the pandemic have ranged anywhere from 1/3 to 2/3 of the workforce. You can see here, this is all around the state. When you look at the census data, you can pick any one of these numbers. These are census surveys that are done every week. As of March 10th, these are the estimates of people impacted, tenants impacted by the pandemic. If you take any one of these numbers, even the smallest number, we're having many multiples of the annual eviction rate in Minnesota at one time. And so this is a time to plan. And the one objection I have to the bill, which is much better than the Senate File 1470, which creates an off-ramp regardless of health. This bill does have an impact on health in terms of saying we'll open it up at some point when the peacetime emergency is over. But the expansion of evictions before that time is going to be problematic for the reasons I mentioned before. Thank you very much for letting me testify.
Thank you, Mr. McDonough. Next on the list is someone from Homeline. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Mike Vray. If you could introduce yourself for the committee and then go ahead with your testimony.
It's Mike Vra. Thank you, Chair Becker-Finn and members. I'm the managing attorney at Homeline. Our tenant hotline advises over 1,000 renters each month. We've submitted more detailed written testimony on House File 12, but in short, we believe this bill is largely a measured plan for transitioning the suspension into statute that later will prevent non-payment evictions by requiring a reasonable timeline with clear and detailed notices, as well as allowing expungements when appropriate. Given the experiences of our clients, we're concerned a shift in the eviction suspension before rental assistance is made widely available will lead to more tenants being displaced, and off-ramp must wait until the public health emergency is safely behind us, which this bill mostly accomplishes. That being said, we oppose allowing an eviction or a notice for material violation, breach of the lease during the public health crisis, as it will lead to displacement and further negative health outcomes. By allowing informal notices to terminate or non-renew leases for material violations, some landlords will use this as an opportunity to terminate for non-payment of rent, creating extrajudicial displacements of tenants. If a new exception for eviction filings must be added for material violations, appropriate notice is essential. The notice in this bill is 7 days during the peacetime emergency, which for many could be shorter than the 45 days proposed in the Senate's bill. Notice period for these evictions is 0 days in the 12-month post-emergency period. Reasonable notice allows tenants to remedy situations or move before an eviction. The 60-day notice post-emergency for non-payment evictions in this bill is a good model for improving other notice requirements. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Next on the list, I have Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, if you could introduce yourself and go ahead with your testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Cecil Smith. I am President and CEO of the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association. MHA is made up of 1,800 members representing 400,000 units in Minnesota, and I also own and operate an apartment portfolio. MHA respectfully raises our opposition to House File 12. This proposal is not an off-ramp. It is a series of two cliffs that divide the eviction cliff contemplated at the end of the peacetime emergency. The first cliff will be when the eviction filings are permitted the day after enactment for breaches of lease. The second cliff will be 60 days after the end of the governor's peacetime emergency when it permits evictions due to non-payment. Alternatively, MHA has provided advice to the legislature and governor on an orderly 5-step process to end the moratorium. Minnesota courts have a significant body of case law which has established a judicial definition for material breach of lease. MHA is still evaluating this proposed definition as it accords with existing case law which has been established by the courts. MHA has concerns about Section 1, Subdivision 1F as it relates to the 1984 statute on rent control prohibitions in Section 1, Subdivision 1E, also prohibits late fees, which would be an impairment of contracts under the Minnesota Constitution. Additionally, a blanket automatic expungement is too broad. The proposal extends the existing moratorium into a 12-month period where a 60-day notice must be provided prior to filing an eviction action or lease termination for non-payment. A 60-day notice is twice as long as any other notice period in the United States and over 4 times longer than any other legislation previously considered in this committee. This is counterproductive to housing market stability, as it could put more small operators at risk for another 12 months following the 12 months that they have already endured. The best way to ensure housing stability is to get the rental assistance program running effectively. With $100 million previously in the CARES Act and $375 million from the CAA, and now approximately 200 to 300 million coming from the American Rescue Plan Act, we have an abundance of funding to ensure housing stability for most renters. The agency has these incredible resources available to them and should efficiently take applications and get the checks in the mail to property managers. Unfortunately, I'm disappointed to report that I'm still waiting for a rent check, which was promised to my renter through the CARES Act CHAP program in December for December rent. Indeed, December rent. We're in late March now. My resident regularly asks me if we've received it, but the answer is still nothing yet. This promise of rent assistance from the government for the singular resident is not a strain on our business. However, the same cannot be said for my resident who still bears the stress of lingering unpaid rent. Finally, it's apparent that this bill, as I pointed out earlier, is unfortunately attempting to advance a set of landlord tenancy policy issues which are in no way relevant to ending the eviction moratorium. Thank you, Madam Chair and members, for the opportunity to testify and for your consideration of my testimony.
Thank you. And the last testifier I have on the list is Paul Eager. If you could introduce yourself and go ahead with your testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Paul Eager, and I'm Vice President of Governmental Affairs for the Minnesota Realtors Association. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today on House File 12. COVID-19 has presented challenges for homeowners, renters, and housing providers. When renters struggle to pay rent, housing providers often struggle to keep properties afloat. The longer the eviction moratorium is in place without a plan for an orderly and reasonable process for emerging from it, the more difficult that transition will be. While we appreciate Chair Hausman beginning this discussion, we do not see how House File 12 would provide for an orderly process for ending the eviction moratorium and transitioning back to practices dictated by current law. Rental assistance dollars that will be available soon are critical for both tenants and housing providers and should be a significant factor in facilitating the transition from the eviction moratorium. In the December federal COVID-19 relief bill you heard in previous testimony, Minnesota received $375 million for rental assistance, which should be going out soon. And the state is expecting another allocation of dollars from the latest bill that was signed into law just last week. We're also pleased that bill included almost $10 billion for homeowner assistance. Those dollars represent an important tool to build a bridge from where we are today to the post-eviction moratorium period ahead. However, House File 12 does not appear to attempt to leverage those rental assistance dollars to craft a phased off-ramp that could minimize impacts on both tenants and housing providers. We also share Mr. Smith's concerns about the rent control provision that's found on page 2, lines 22 through 24 of the bill. And finally, Madam Chair, Section 4 addresses foreclosures and contracts for deed cancellation and seems to be an expansion on the existing executive order and a new requirement, which we would like to better understand, particularly how it may impact the ability to access and maintain vacant foreclosed properties. Thank you again for the opportunity to testify, and we look forward to working with Chair Hausman, the members of both chambers, and all stakeholders as this discussion continues. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll move to member discussion. Representative Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to everybody that testified this morning. Representative Hausman, I'm just wondering, what your thoughts are. I mean, the federal government's already given $100 million towards this. Are the local county agencies and housing agencies, are they not getting this money out the door?
Representative.
Madam Chair, and I'm Lael Robertson is on the call. She's the from Minnesota Housing, and I would like to invite her into the conversation as well. I should have checked this before. I think most of that $100 million is out the door, and maybe Ms. Robertson can. And I don't know if Ryan Baumtag is on from the agency either, but if one of them can speak to how much of that $100 million is out the door, I think virtually all of it is out.
Yep, and we'll go to Ms. Robertson. Please introduce yourself and go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Lael Robertson, and I'm the policy attorney at Minnesota Housing. Madam Chair and Representative Scott, it's my understanding that that $100 million is almost completely out the door. We are, with the new money, the agency will be utilizing a more centralized payment processing system in an attempt to improve processing payment processing. That has not started yet. The agency is still, as you can imagine, with a mass amount of money, we're still putting together that process, but we are working very closely with the local partners, including Hennepin County and Ramsey County, City of Minneapolis, City of St. Paul, to get the money out the door.
Follow-up, Representative Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think this testifier just said it, a mass amount of money is coming from the federal government. And if there was a problem of getting this money in renters' hands, then that falls on the government itself and not having a proper rollout. You know, I think that this legislation is not an off-ramp. It is prolonging a problem. I think most of you received a letter from a gentleman. I think he sent it to every legislator. He's a landlord. He doesn't have a job. And the renters that he has are both still working, but during this moratorium decided not to pay the rent. So they're almost a year behind on making their rent payments to him. When you get that far behind, it's almost impossible to catch up. And they have not applied for any rental assistance. So there are people that fall into this category. And this bill is going to do nothing but prolong the problem. And I think, I have not seen it, but the Minnesota Housing, I think it was Minnesota Multi-Housing, said that they have a 5-step plan that they presented to the governor that would actually be an off-ramp to this. There's no question there's probably going to be an increase in evictions filed following the end of this moratorium. But what we're doing here is prolonging the problem. In addition, this bill institutes rent control. It's like, oh, let's just put that in while we're at it here. So this bill is very problematic, and it's not balanced at all between the renter and the landlords. 60-day notice for eviction. That's just getting people more and more behind on their rent. This bill's really problematic, and I'll be urging my team to vote against it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Scott. Members, any additional discussion to the bill? All right, Representative Hausman, any closing words on the bill?
Thank you. You can see we balance the tensions between landlords and renters in Minnesota. We really wanted to get the money directly to the landlords, so that first 100 million, that was our goal, because it's in everybody's best interest to keep this housing safe. And so we're steering a course down the middle somehow between those two.
All right, thank you, Representative Hausman. I will renew my motion that House File 12 be recommended to be re-referred to the Ways and Means Committee. The clerk will take the roll.
Chair Becker-Finn.
Aye.
Representative Moeller.
Aye.
Representative Scott.
No.
Representative Feist.
Aye.
Representative Frazier.
Aye.
Representative Grossell. Representative Grossell. Representative Herr.
Aye.
Representative Hollins.
Aye.
Representative Liebling.
Aye.
Representative Johnson.
No.
Representative Long.
Aye.
Representative Mortensen.
Chair? No.
Representative Novotny.
Novotny, no.
Representative Farr.
No.
Representative Robbins.
No.
Representative Vang.
No.
Aye.
Representative Xiong.
Aye.
Representative Grossell.
Madam Chair, I apologize. I lost sound.
Representative Grossell.
Representative Grossell's no. I apologize. I'm trying to get the sound back.
Right. There are 10 ayes and 7 nays.
All right, with that, the motion prevails and House File 12 is recommended to be re-referred to the Ways and Means Committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Not sure who that was.
I just thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Representative Hausman. We've got a busy schedule. Thank you very much. With that, we'll move on to House File 927, Representative Koegel's bill. Representative Koegel, welcome to the committee. I will move that House File 927 be recommended to be re-referred to Housing, Finance, and Policy. The bill is now before us. Representative Koegel, please tell us about your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House File 927 is follow-up to legislation that was signed into law in 2017 that addresses a number of issues with manufactured home titlings. Titling a manufactured home is complicated because the law by default treats these homes as personal property, similar to that of a car. There is, however, a process in law that manufactured homeowners can go through to make the home real property. This bill seeks to simplify that process for both the homeowner and the Department of Public Safety and Driver and Vehicle Services, along with making some other clarifying changes. This bill limits that option to situations where the certificate of title has been lost, destroyed, or becomes ineligible. Homeowners who are in possession of their original title still must send that title to DVS. And so there are a number of stakeholders with interest in this topic that have been working on the language, including Minnesota Realtors, Minnesota Land Title Association, Minnesota Manufactured and Modular Homes Association, the Minnesota Bankers Association, Minnesota Credit Union Network, Minnesota State Bar Association, and DPS and DVS. We're not aware of any opposition to this bill. And with that, I'd like to thank the committee members for their time and then hand it over to my testifiers.
All right. Thank you, Representative Koegel. First on the list, I have Matthew Spellman. Mr. Spellman, you have 2 minutes. Please introduce yourself and go ahead with your testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think I can be quicker than that. So my name, for the record, my name is Matt Spellman. I'm with the Minnesota Realtors. I would like to first thank Representative Koegel and all the stakeholders that she mentioned for their work on this, particularly John Nielsen, who is joining me on the call with Minnesota Land Title. Representative Koegel did a really good job introducing the bill. The primary function of this is to simplify the process manufactured homeowners go through when changing the status of their home from personal property to real property. When a manufactured homeowner wants to go through that process of affixing their home to the land and make it real property, they must first cancel their certificate of title within the Department of Public Safety, Driver and Vehicle Services records so that the property can then be recorded in the county land records. This process can be difficult for homeowners because oftentimes they lose or misplace their certificate of title. And so, like Representative Koegel said, this bill would allow these homeowners to cancel their certificate of title by written request if the title has been lost, destroyed, or rendered ineligible, making this process far simpler for both the homeowner as well as DVS. Like she said, the bill makes a number of clarifying changes that we are unaware of any opposition. And that's kind of what I got. Thank you, Madam Chair and members. I'd like to turn it over to John.
Thank you, Mr. Spellman. John Nielsen, if you could introduce yourself and then go ahead with your testimony.
Thank you, Chair and committee members. My name's John Nielsen. I'm an attorney at Old Republic National Title Insurance Company, and I'm here on behalf of the Minnesota Land Title Association, which is the state-level trade association for title companies in Minnesota. And we search and analyze the county land records, do closings for commercial and residential property, and we end up getting involved in this issue because we help consumers complete this process of turning their mobile home from personal property like a car into real estate like a house that was built on site. We also issue some title policies that give some coverages related to that fact that the home is now part of the real estate. I was one of the main drafters on the bill. I'm happy to answer any questions. I think the representative and Mr. Spellman gave a good outline that the process is being simplified a bit if you've lost your title, and then also does a number of cleanup and more technical changes to the process. And so we'd ask that you support the bill. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Nielsen. I will say I just signed on to the bill as a co-author, so this is a good bill. Members, any discussion to House File 927? All right. Seeing no hands going up, Representative Koegel, any closing comments?
It's a good bill. I appreciate your support.
All right, I will renew my motion that House File 927 be recommended to be re-referred to the Housing, Finance, and Policy Committee. The clerk will take the roll.
Chair Becker Finn.
Aye.
Representative Moeller.
Aye.
Representative Scott.
Aye.
Representative Feist.
Aye.
Representative Frazier.
Aye.
Representative Grossel.
Aye.
Representative Herr.
Aye.
Representative Hollins.
Aye.
Representative Johnson.
Aye.
Representative Liebling.
Aye.
Representative Long.
Aye.
Representative Mortensen.
Aye.
Representative Novotny.
Aye.
Representative Farr.
Aye.
Representative Robbins.
Aye.
Representative Vang.
Aye.
Representative Sean. Representative Sean.
Aye.
Perfect. There are 17 ayes and no nays.
With that, the motion prevails and House File 927 is recommended to be re-referred to the Housing, Finance, and Policy Committee. With that, members, we have several bills up this evening, so we will be coming back this evening. So we will not be adjourning right now, and so stay tuned. We're scheduled for 5 o'clock right now, but depending upon how things go on the floor, just pay attention to your email if there are any updates about when we will be reconvening. And with that, the committee stands in recess.